Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Dr. John Cusatis, better known as Dr. John. He is the founder, CEO, and chief research scientist at Aquatic Research Laboratory, which is a certified testing facility in Pennsylvania that focuses on public health and consumable safety. John is also a U.S. Air Force veteran, a trained first responder, and his mission is to protect families from hidden contaminables in water and consumables. So, John, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. I'm happy to, and it's an honor to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a first responder, which means I'm associated with the fire department. I'm too old to be, out in or for interior for fires, but I am what they call fire police. So my main responsibility is to keep my firefighters and the police and everybody else, EMS, safe from directing traffic and keep people away from a scene, whether it be a fire or an accident. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we had a facility called Northeastern Blue Tilapia. We raised Northeastern Blue Tilapia, which was a colder breed of tilapia. In our indoor facility, we're the only one in the United States that did that. And then, of course, we had this little event called COVID, which basically shut us down. But we also had a lab. So our Aquatic Research Laboratory is an FDA-approved lab. We tested water, we tested fish for diseases. We tested a whole bunch. We tested some plants. We did lake testing, pond testing, so on and so forth, and also aquarium testing. Well, during the time we were shut down, we were looking into our product that we have called Aquadechlor, which we still sell, and it basically is made for fish tanks to dechlorinate their water. Some fish tanks you have to wait 30 days for it to assimilate and for all the chlorine to go out of it. Our product actually destroys the chlorine at a molecular level, so it just basically dissolves it, almost like a swimming pool dissolves with bacteria. Same thing with this, it just takes it all out. That being said, we did some more research, talked to my chemist, and realized that yes, our product not only takes out chlorine, but it also takes out fluoride, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and some other stuff that it does. So we basically looked into it, changed our formula, and created a product called Fluoride Be Gone. Well, Fluoride Be Gone, of course, 3 years ago, people think fluoride is really good for you, which we all know it's not, but back then they didn't. So we came up with the idea, well, let's change it to Chemicals Be Gone. Because not only does it take out those products I said, it also works. We changed the formula. So we have an anti-inflammatory, we have an antifungal, we have one we created for fruit and veggie wash. So we just create different products from that, and that's where we're at now.
Well, let's talk about why you decide to found Aquatic Research Laboratory, and how does your first responder experience shape your perspective when it comes to public health?
Well, there is a product that's used by firefighters. It's called firefighting foam. They've changed it since then, but years ago, that foam, actually, there are firefighters now that have cancer from that foam because of the fluoride and other chemicals that are in it. So what we did is we basically looked at that and see if our product could take out any of those chemicals, and of course it does. It takes out fluoride. So what it does is, so when they use the foam to put out fires, it's not as hazardous as it was as the old stuff. So the new stuff is all changed, all that stuff's out of it. So, but they have to use more of it. But the problem they have is they have thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of gallons of the old foam that they got to dispose of. the only way to dispose of it is by paying a company. There's two of them throughout the country that basically come and get the foam, take it to their facility and incinerate it. And it costs thousands of dollars. Us as a volunteer fire company and other volunteer fire companies, we don't have that kind of money to spend like that. So I was looking at a solution of how we could reuse that old foam for training purposes, so that way we can use it up, and not worry about hurting the environment. And that's what our product does. Put the product in it, and it helps alleviate some of those harmful chemicals in it. So if it would go into a runoff, a water runoff system, it's not going to hurt the environment.
Well, let's talk about some of the most common contaminants that you you find in water and public consumables that families need to be aware of.
Oh my goodness! First one's fluoride. Fluoride's the worst. You go to our website and you can see that we actually have a chart on there. So the USDA and the FDA have criteria far as a minimum allowable levels of the product. Well, the USDA says one level, which is 4.0, and the FDA says, oh no, 7.0. So they're right there to contradict. One says you can use 4.0, the other one says 0.70, which we know 0.70 is a lot smaller than 4.0. But it's different agencies that do that. And there's also a national database, fluoride database that the USDA created, so people can actually go in there. And there's a link on the website to see exactly, the state you live in, down by counties, and see what your, local town has as far as fluoride. Are they part of the fluoride program? Is it well water or is it municipal? A lot of it's for municipal water, which is city water. But I live I live out in the country, so we don't have city water. We have well water. Well, our well water depends on where you're at. So I live near. Um, I have a 3,500-acre farm next to me. I know they use chemicals in it for the produce and stuff that they produce, but those chemicals will leach into the ground. So then well water needs to be tested also. And we found that some of the well water does have contaminants in it. It has some pesticides in it. It has some fluoride in it. But the main thing right now for people, for themselves, is to detox themselves. Fluoride's one of them. There's not much as chlorine, but yeah, the main detox, and that's the one reason we created the product, was for fluoride.
Well, let's talk about Kim Be Gone. Let's talk about how it simplifies complex science into practical steps for everyday households.
Okay, so people have filters. There are filters out there that take different minerals and junk out of their water, but not a lot of them. Well, actually, there's no filters out there that could take out the fluoride. There is a process called reverse osmosis, which takes the fluoride out. But some research now is showing that by reverse osmosis, it also can cause problems. Not giving you chemicals, but so basically it makes the water dead. When the water is dead, which is supposed to be used for hydration to hydrate our body, if the water is dead, it doesn't have enough nutrients in it to help actually rehydrate our body. So that's why they created supplements that put this little packet in your thing to give it a different flavor, or to put electrolytes in it. That's because of what these filters and stuff have done to destroy the water. So with Can Be Gone, our main ingredient is an FDA, WHO EPA approved mineral that, in crystal form, it's not good for us, but we take it and we dilute it in water. Well, our water is a highly filtered water. It's better than anything else out there. Plus, it has to be done at a certain temperature, plus of the way you dilute it. So we created formulas for it Can Be Gone, so that way you can use it to detox. So when you're, cooking food, if there's liquid in that food, or even a spaghetti sauce, you're making spaghetti sauce, you put a couple drops in there, and at a molecular level, what the product does, it destroys the fluoride, chlorine, anything that's bad in there, it takes it out instantly. You don't see it, you can't taste it, it doesn't change the color formation or anything like that. But like I said, at a molecular level, it takes it out, destroys it.
Well, can you share a real world example what certified testing helped a community or a family?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I have a grandson who's autistic. And then at night, especially at night, he just had problems going to sleep. So, we know what our product does. So we took that product, and then also, so when he takes his water at night to go to bed, he also gets magnesium because he needs that magnesium. And that actually calms them down. So by detoxing the body from the fluoride and the other little stuff in there, it actually helps him. So basically, he sleeps better. It changed his attitude some, but also too, fluoride also helps us with our pineal gland. It's a known scientific fact that it actually lowered IQ in children because they've got fluoride from birth. There's so much fluoride in baby food, whether it be powdered or the canned Similac type of stuff, which is really bad. And here's one for us. It's also our one of our products is called Decalcify or Decalciclear, which basically helps decalcify our arteries and stuff. I had triple bypass surgery 2 years ago. I was supposed to have quad, but we couldn't do the left side one because it was too deep. So the cardiologist decided, well, let's do this. Let's just wait 6 months, let everything heal and see how where you're at. And there's a thing called an EF, which is ejection fraction, which measures how the blood is pumping through that one part of the heart. And the average is between 5.2 and, well, some say 4.9 to 5.3. Mine, well, 48. Mine was at 42. So we waited. 6 months later, nothing's changed. So we're still at, we went to 43. Another 6 months, it was at 45. A year later, when I went back in for another couple of tests, it came out that it's at 48, which is a good level for someone my age. I'll be 68 years old, so that's not bad for somebody my age. And then the doctor asked me, why, what's changed? What have you changed? I said, I just take my product. And then I explained to him what my product does and how it decalcifies everything like that. So right there, the fact that so I don't need to have that surgery. My heart's just the way it's supposed to be. So that's a good thing. I have a customer or another client. She had problems with eczema, and she was taking our product religiously because it said detox, and she's her eczema is lightened up a little bit. She noticed her skin has changed. She doesn't have the itches that she used to have with stuff. So, right there is facts that, our product does work.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, let's talk about for those people out there trying to evaluate health and wellness products and avoid fraud or misinformation. What advice would you give them?
Do your research. make sure that, product, the problem is with healthcare now is all they want to do is give you drugs or here, take this for that. My thing is if the products were working to help cure us, then my question is then why do we get refills? That's the thing there. So on that being said is, talk to your doctor. I mean, our products, we're not claiming that they're a cure-all or they're drugs. They're not. It's an alternative supplement that does work. Like I said, we have one that's an anti-inflammatory. So if you're hurting, people take aspirin. Boom, done. That helps with that. But that's just a short-term effect, and it's a drug. Whereas our anti-inflammatory, over time you take it, it's going to help. It's not an instant cure. It's not for you to not take any of your medication. It's just basically it's a supplement, just like a vitamin supplement. People who don't eat healthy, they take the vitamins, and that helps them. Just like our product. Our product's there to help you to detox. So if you're really serious about health and want your body to be a little bit healthier, of somebody our product is known for doing that. It's a detox, so you detox your body.
Well, let's talk about wellness. You talk about how you see wellness as an act of stewardship, and you feel that ministry should lead in this area. So talk about that perspective.
Oh wow, there's a whole article on our website about how water. We just look at water. Water is in the Bible. Water is talked about numerous times about how it should be healthy, and then um, so far as the ministry wise, it's just making people aware, and it should. I mean, it should come from the pulpit. The Bible says to be healthy, wealthy, and wise, and the first thing is healthy. So back in the day, it's way before our time, but back in the Old Testament time, there wasn't diseases. They weren't sick. If they did get sick, of course, something stupid that they did, but there wasn't the diseases that we have now because look at their products. There wasn't the pesticides or the chemicals on their fruit and produce. They grew it themselves. The animals were clean because they were eating great grass. They weren't eating grass that has chemicals on it. There was no thing far as processed meat like we have now. Um, so I personally feel it should be taught from the pulpit. And then when that's being taught from the pulpit, that way people that want to be, basically the be the way God wants them to be, and you can go to the extreme. There are some people that go to the extreme and says, oh, here's what the Bible says. I want to go totally by that. I'm not saying the Bible is wrong. The Bible is 100% to my knowledge, and I've been a Christian for 35 years, 38 years now. But anyways, the whole thing is that just like with events that are happening in the world. Okay. The pulpit is where we learn. We go there to learn. So not just about things that are happening, not just what God tells the pastor, to preach, but he also needs to teach us how to maintain our body because it's actually a temple, how to do, what to do. Like I said, my product is not the only product out there, but we know that my product that we have no competition because what we do, we know that there's nothing bad in our product.
Well, what resources and guides have you and your company put together to help pastors, protect themselves and their congregations?
Well, there's a whole on our website. There's one that talks about water. So in there explains about how water, what the water, what the Bible says about water. How it's a nutrient for us. We need water. Our body's 75% water. We need the water for hydration. So also too is what pastors need to do is look into. Here's a good example. I'm not picking on any denomination, but I'm just going to pick the Catholics because I used to be a Catholic, and not only that, we talk about holy water. So when you walk into a Catholic church, you put your fingers in the water that's back there, and then you make a sign. It's a religious thing. But I've done research on that holy water, and that stuff is filthy because you don't know what's on people's hands. So that water is contaminated. So in like for example, priests, and I'm actually having a meeting next week with our local Catholic church for us priests to talk to them about using our product to help clean out or detox the water they use, not just for holy water, but also for baptismal for the babies and stuff. But also too is to have people drink, drink water because, like I said, you put our product in water, you can't taste it, you can't see it, but it works as far as detox, and that's another way to help. Just like with regular water, excuse me, with bottled water, the same thing. There's stuff in the bottled water that you don't see, but our product helps with that.
Well, let's talk about how your faith informs your scientific work and how you're able to balance science and spirituality.
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, actually, not that tough. I'm a Christian, and I go by, the Bible is my book. And some people would, say, well, that's not, the Bible's not totally true and like that, but that's not the point. The whole thing is that I look at, we have our laboratory. We were shut down during COVID. We basically put the fish business out of business, but I basically prayed about it. And then, one night we're sitting there and my wife says, hey, I have a question. We were watching some show, and the girl in the show that was telling her mom that, fluorides, they're actually put it in there and it's killing us and they're putting the chemicals up in chemtrails. So my wife asked me, she goes, does our product take out fluoride? And at the time, I honestly told her, I have no idea. So, like I said, we looked into it and found out it does. So I feel that God is the one that, put that in her mind to ask me that question. But also, too, is the whole idea of having an aquatic research laboratory. When we did our fish were natural, no drugs, no chemicals. The water was so clean, I could drink the water from our tanks. We had six 3,500-gallon tanks. We were raising thousands of fish, and they were all clean. And of course, at the time, we called our facility Crossover Farms because that's the name that I feel like God gave me. Even though being a scientist, there's different things you do, but on the spiritual end, I believe that what we're doing, how we're doing stuff, it's inspiration by God. God gives me the ideas, and usually it's 6 months to a year before anything else comes out like that. It's like a head start thing, but also it's true faith. I have faith that He's given me everything right. He wakes me up every morning. I've had I don't know. I've had 4 strokes. I've had 2 heart attacks, triple bypass surgery, and I'm still here. And there's a reason for it. And I feel this is the reason this with our product and also informing people, about, our bodies, how we can keep our bodies healthier, how to detox our bodies. And there's some people out there that, they're either don't want to go to a gym or do stuff, or they don't want to, it's just basically it's laziness. But that being said, I still believe that our products are something that people can use in their house, in their home, just to help start detox. That's my philosophy.
Well, let's talk about how your first responder EOS of readiness, resilience, and service aligns with ministry values.
Well, we're first responders, so if something happens, we're there. Um, Me being as as who I, but also too with me being a fire police, I'm out there. I mean, I deal with the community more than our firefighters. Our firefighters go in and they go, they're interior or exterior, they're putting out the fire, or there's an accident, they're dealing with that. Me being on the outside, keeping people away and keeping traffic away, that gives my opportunity to minister to people that are irritated, people that are inconvenienced because we're blocking the roads, so that way we keep our first responders safe. But also too is I'm there, I'm praying all the time. I'm praying for my first responders. I'm praying for the families that are inconvenienced by a fire or whatever it may be, an accident. I've been on quite a few fatalities. uh, but it's just basically believing in what happens. I know God's in control of everything. um, but also too is by having this spirituality, it keeps me level headed because there's times I deal with people that are just, what's the correct word for it? I want to say stupid, but that's not a good word. Just inconvenienced. So, and you know, having a level head, and I think that's part of my spirituality that helps me do that because to calm me down.
Well, let's talk about your vision for Pennsylvania Families and Ministries and how they can set an example when it comes to consumer consumer safety and fraud prevention.
Well, you know, for prior prevention, you know, first thing is that you know make sure that you have your smoke detectors. You have smoke detectors. You change the batteries every 6 months. When you know we change the clocks, change the batteries. Now, the newer the newer smoke detectors coming out are now having a 10-year shelf life, which means that the batteries will last for 10 years, which is fine. That because you know we all forget about things, but I would still suggest every 6 months you go up to your smoke detectors, press the test button, and make sure they still work. Or take smoke, you know, take something that has like a candle, a little bit of smoke, just to make sure that they work. Have carbon monoxide sensors if you have, you know, elderly people or children. Don't, you know, just be safe. Don't do dumb things that would cause a fire. Um, as far as Pennsylvania, you know, we're pretty much. Uh, yeah, I'm not saying fire free or anything like that, but we try to educate people on the safetiness. We go out and do safety prevention things twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, teaching people how to prevent fires, and if there is a fire, what you could do until the fire department gets there. And if it's something major, then it's to get out of your building or whatever it's in.
Well, let's talk about any upcoming projects that you and your company are working on that people need to be aware of.
One of the projects is we're building. It's not a filtration system. We're building what's called an infuser. So you can actually put this device like a filter in your house, or well, we're gonna have three types. One's gonna be a mobile one, so when you travel, you can take it with you. You can use it in a hotel. You can use it in your camper or whatever you want to do. One that gets installed in your house, and one for commercial projects or commercial businesses. And then what this device does is actually the water would flow into that first, and then our product is in there. Our basic, can be gone essentials. Our basic product goes in there, and then as the water flows, our product actually will decontaminate or basically, remove the fluoride and chlorine and stuff out of that water before it goes in, before you drink it or before it comes into your house or your business.
Well, so people can keep up with everything that you're up to, throw out your contact info.
Yes. Our website is can be gone, CHEM, the letter B, gone.com. Everything's on there that we've talked about, plus a whole bunch more. We try to keep it so that way everybody can be educated. If there's something that they want to know about or they have questions, we have a contact page. They can contact us, send us an email, give us a call, and we can talk to them. But also, too, those who listen to your podcast, we're offer them a discount. Then you and I can create a coupon code just for them. So when they go on there to order the product, they can use your coupon code and they can get a discount.
Yeah, maybe they could type in "living the dream" or something like that.
Whatever you want, and you and I can talk to that you know, off recording, and I can give you some more details about that. But yeah, whatever you want to call the code, we can do that, and that's no problems at all.
Absolutely. We'll close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Uh, yeah, just I pray for you. Have a great new year. Um, stay safe, stay healthy. I'm here. I mean, I sell my products, but the whole idea for this was not to push my products. It's just to make people aware that there is a solution out there for alternatives. That if you want to detox your body, if you want to be a little bit healthier, we have products out there to help you with that. And like I said, they can go to our website, canbegone.com, and we have 13 different products that we've created for different things, for babies, for animal. We even have products for animals. We have an antifungal. So they can go in there and look at all that. And if there's something they have a question about or something they would think about, maybe us to create, like I said, we have a contact page. Send us an email. Send us a voicemail or whatever, and we'll be happy to help out. Plus, we also have an online chat. So during business hours, they can come in and chat with us. So we're open. We're open to ideas, but our main thing is I want to help. And like I said, it's not all about the money. It's about the education.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. So check out that website, cambegone.com, and I put the coupon code in the show notes. And make sure you follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. And if you or someone you know would like more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, you can find that at www.curveball337.com. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And John, thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Curtis.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.